Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, there's that specific feeling you get right around the start of a new year.
Oh,
You
yeah.
buy the planner, you download all the habit tracking apps,
Mm.
and you just stare at the calendar with this mix of aggressive optimism and, let's be honest, total dread.
It's the universal pressure, right? This year will be different.
Exactly. And then,
Mhm.
by February, the gym membership is collecting dust.
Right.
So today, we're stripping all of that away. We're ignoring the to-do lists, the quarterly goals, all the productivity hacks.
Okay.
We are talking about the one resource you cannot buy, hack, or negotiate with: time. And to do that, we're breaking down a talk by Sadhguru titled You Owe It to You in 2025.
Which is a fascinating piece of source material. It's a transcript from a video on the Motivation Arc channel, but I have to warn you, right off the bat,
Hmm.
if you are expecting some kind of rah-rah, you can do it, pep talk, this is going to be a shock to the system.
Yeah, it's not exactly live, laugh, love, is it?
Not at all. It's
Yeah.
it's diagnostic. It's almost surgical in how it dissects the human condition.
Okay.
I mean, it gets into mortality, the physiology of loneliness, and it forces a really uncomfortable reevaluation of what success even looks like.
So our mission today is to really unpack this central metaphor he uses, this idea of the wheel of time.
Right.
We want to figure out why some people seem to ride this wheel, effortlessly, while the rest of us feel like we're just being slowly run over by it.
And we have to get into that concept of being a blissful failure.
Oh, that honestly blew my mind. But we'll get there.
We will, but we have to start where the source starts, which is with the nature of time itself.
The wheel of time.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fantasy novel series.
It does, but here it's a very practical description. The source makes this point that time is the most ruthless thing on the planet
Ruthless is the perfect word.
because it's indifferent.
Yeah.
It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if you're miserable. It rolls at the exact same pace for everyone.
The king, the pauper.
Everyone. Exactly. The wheel just turns. And the binary choice presented in the source is stark. You either ride this wheel, which makes life a fantastic process,
Or,
or you get crushed by it. There is no middle ground.
so let's get specific. How do we get crushed? Because I think I know that feeling,
Sure.
where Monday turns into Friday, January turns into December,
Yeah.
and you just feel run over. You haven't lived the time, you've just survived it.
Well, the source argues that being crushed happens when you are too identified with your physicality.
With your body.
With your body, yeah. This is where it gets into biology. He argues that the body is essentially just a collection of cycles.
You mean like biological clocks?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Your bladder has a clock. Your hunger has a clock. Sleep has its own clock. Women have reproductive cycles.
Right.
Even the atoms in your body are spinning in cycles. The planet spins, the moon orbits. Everything physical is cyclical.
So even if I smash my wristwatch, my body still knows what time it is because it's caught in all these loops.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the argument here is that if you are entirely wrapped up in your physical needs, your physical identity, you are trapped in those cycles.
You're stuck inside the machinery of the wheel.
Yeah, you're just cycling through hunger, sleep, work, repeat. It's a claustrophobic image.
Being stuck in the gears, yeah.
It is. So to ride time, Sadhguru suggests you have to psychologically distance yourself just a little from the body.
Be a bit above it all.
A little bit. You need to identify with something larger than just the biological urge to eat or sleep, and that slight detachment is what allows you to step on top of the wheel and actually ride it.
That makes sense. If you're just a bundle of biological urges, you're just spinning.
Right.
But there was another perspective on time in here that I found really surprising. It's about how we view aging.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, a birthday or a new year comes, and we celebrate adding a year. We say, yay, another year.
And the source just flips that completely. He says we're deluding ourselves. We should view it as one less year to live.
Which sounds incredibly morbid at first.
It does.
Happy New Year. You're 1 year closer to the grave. Thanks.
But it sounds morbid only if you're clinging to life out of fear. He reframes this as a positive thing. He talks about the lightness of age.
The analogy of carrying a burden.
Yeah, the sack of rocks analogy. If you view your life, all the struggles, the work, as this heavy sack you have to carry, then having one less year means the load is getting lighter.
Right. You've already carried it for 40 years. You only have 30 or 40 left.
So instead of panicking that time is running out.
You feel relief that the shift is almost over.
Exactly. He gives the example of the burden of 80 years. If you're almost done, that should bring a sense of fulfillment, not fear. The work is almost done. It lets you walk with a lighter step.
That is a radical shift in perspective. Speaking of visualizing time, I love the specific tool he mentioned, this idea for a new interface on our phones.
The digital hourglass.
Yes. Instead of a clock that just goes round and round, he wants a digital hourglass.
And this is just a brilliant psychological trick. I mean, think about a standard clock. It goes 12, 1, 2, and then back to 12 again.
It circles.
Right. And psychologically, that creates an illusion of infinite repetition. It feels like the day will just come back again tomorrow.
I'll just do it tomorrow because tomorrow looks exactly like today on a clock face.
Exactly. But an hourglass, that is linear. It's finite. You see the sand slipping away, and once it's gone, it's gone.
Doesn't go back up.
It doesn't. And the source suggests setting this digital hourglass to your expected lifespan, let's say 80 years.
But every time I pick up my phone to check Instagram, I'm not seeing 10:45 a.m.
No. You're seeing a visual representation of your life slipping away grain by grain. Maybe you see you have 40% of your sand left, and you can physically watch it drop.
That would definitely cure my doom scrolling habit. If I saw my life physically draining away while I'm watching cat videos, I think I'd live a little more intensely.
And that's the word he uses, intensity. It's meant to create intensity. Because if you don't have that, if you aren't engaged, you fall into what the source describes as a major epidemic.
Loneliness.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this because the stats he dropped here were staggering. He mentions that in the United States, in 2023, nearly 109,000 suicides.
A horrifying number.
And he references a conversation with the U.S. Surgeon General, saying that 50% of Americans feel lonely. Half the country.
And he draws this very sharp comparison to the health impact. He cites medical findings that the damage done to your body by loneliness is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
That is terrifying. You could be eating kale, running marathons, doing everything right, but if you're lonely, your body is taking the hit of a pack-a-day smoker.
It really highlights that physiology and psychology aren't separate things. They're the same system. But here's where the deep dive gets really nuanced.
Okay.
The source distinguishes between social loneliness and what he calls the loneliness of time.
This is a critical distinction, right? Because usually we think loneliness means I have no friends or I am physically alone in a room.
Right, but we've all been in a crowded room and felt completely isolated.
Sure.
Sadhguru argues that true loneliness is actually a loneliness of time. He explains it like this. When you are bored or miserable or unengaged, how does time feel?
It drags. A minute feels like an hour. It feels like it stops.
Exactly. The wheel feels like it stops rolling. And that stagnation, that feeling of being stuck in a moment that won't end, that is what creates the sensation of loneliness. It's the weight of stagnant time.
So conversely, if you're having the time of your life, you're never lonely.
Even if you are physically alone, if you're exuberant, if you're bubbling with energy, time just flows unnoticed. You don't feel the weight of it stopping. You're riding the wheel again.
So the antidote isn't go to a party.
Not necessarily.
The antidote mentioned in the source is exuberance. It's an internal fix.
Yes. Raising your own energy level so that time flows. Loneliness isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of flow.
I love that. Now, moving on to another huge trap the source identifies, which I think relates to how we try to fill that void.
Yeah.
This trap of success. And he starts this with a pretty funny dig at homeownership.
The householder critique.
Yeah. He jokes about the term householder. We say it like it's a status symbol, but he breaks down the word. It implies the house holds you.
Right. You think you're holding the house, you've got the deed, but really the house is holding you. It traps you.
It catches you.
It does. And this leads into his broader point about childish goals.
Ouch. Childish goals. I can hear some listeners getting defensive now. Hey, I worked hard for my car.
Well, what counts as a childish goal here are things like building a house, buying a specific car, accumulating possessions.
Okay.
He calls them childish, not because they're evil. He's not saying you should live in a cave. He calls them childish because they are small. They are easily achievable.
So let's say I set a goal to buy a luxury sedan. I save up, I buy it, I succeeded.
You succeeded. And that is the problem. His argument is, if you set these small goals, you will probably achieve them, and then you will die a successful person.
But in his view, dying successful in that context is actually a tragedy.
It implies you didn't explore your full potential. You aimed at a low target and you hit it. Congratulations, you wasted the immense potential of human consciousness on upholstery.
So this leads to that provocative wish he has for everyone. He literally says, "It is my wish that all of you should die as failures.
Blissful failure.
Right, blissful failures. We have to unpack this because in our culture, failure is the worst possible thing. What does it mean to be a blissful failure?
It's all about the scale of your ambition for your own human potential. If you look at what a human being is truly capable of in terms of consciousness, intelligence, inner experience, that potential is immense.
Practically infinite.
It is. So if you set a goal that actually matches that potential,
It's so big that one lifetime isn't enough to complete it.
exactly. If you try to map the entire universe or solve human suffering or reach the absolute peak of consciousness, you cannot finish that in 80 years.
I see. So if you pick a goal that takes 3 lifetimes to achieve, you will inevitably die with it unfinished. You die a failure.
But you die a failure because you aimed for something truly great rather than something small like, I want a corner office.
It's the difference between winning a game of tic-tac-toe versus losing a game of grandmaster chess against a supercomputer.
Or trying to count the stars.
Mm.
It's better to fail at the impossible than to succeed at the trivial. That's the essence of blissful failure. You're blissful because you're engaged in a massive process, even if you never finish it.
That is profound. It completely redefines the metric of a life well lived.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, a lot of people, when they feel that loneliness, they don't turn to blissful failure, they turn to coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
And the source gets very specific about one, marijuana.
Yes, and this is where he leans on some specific data. He references studies from universities in the UK. And the source states that these studies show if you're under the influence of marijuana for, say, 3 to 5 years, there's a clear link to a decline in intellectual faculties.
And he also mentioned a higher risk of serious age-related diseases.
Yes, specifically that decision-making and memory are seriously affected, making one a top candidate for things like dementia and Alzheimer's later in life.
Now, usually when you hear this, it sounds like a lecture. Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
But he pivots to what he calls the human mechanism argument.
This is the empowering part. He calls the human body the most refined product on the planet. I mean, think about why people use substances. They want to feel peace or intoxication or ecstasy.
They want to shift their chemistry.
Exactly. And Sadhguru's argument is that every experience you're looking for outside yourself is actually a chemical process happening inside you already. You have the necessary chemistry to create those states if you just learn to turn inward.
So relying on external chemicals is basically saying, I don't know how to operate this machine.
Essentially, yes. It's outsourcing a job your body is already built for. And this ties into his concept of suffering being a choice.
Oh, the pin and nail analogy. I love this. It's so simple, but it stings.
He says you don't need an enemy to suffer. If you want to suffer, you can just take a pin and poke yourself. If that doesn't work, take a nail.
But the pin isn't real, is it? It's our own mind.
It is. He argues that for many of us, especially those who are well-fed and comfortable, our suffering is self-invented.
We are being chased by tigers.
We aren't. So why are we miserable? Because we misuse 2 human faculties, memory and imagination. We use memory to suffer what happened 10 years ago, and we use imagination to suffer what might happen tomorrow.
So we are literally hallucinating our own misery.
We are using our most advanced tools against ourselves, and that is the definition of not knowing how to handle your own intelligence.
That's a hard pill to swallow. He says if you've eaten and you aren't sick, but you're still miserable, that's on you.
It's harsh, but it's also the most liberating thing you can hear, because if you are creating it, you can stop creating it.
So let's recap. We have the ruthless wheel of time. We have loneliness as stagnant time. We have the trap of small successes. And we have this self-inflicted suffering from our own minds.
Yeah.
After stripping everything down, what's the resolution here?
The source is very clear. Do not make fragile resolutions. Don't say, I won't fight with my spouse, or I will go to the gym.
Because those are just behaviors.
They're surface level. He suggests a single fundamental commitment
Which is?
to make yourself a wonderful human being.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
That sounds simple, almost generic. Be a wonderful human being. How is that a strategy?
He justifies it with the flower analogy. He asks, if you blossom like a flower, do you have to try to spread fragrance?
No. The fragrance just happens. It's a consequence.
Exactly. The fragrance is a consequence of the blossoming. He says, if you become a wonderful human being, which implies being joyful, exuberant, riding the wheel, your impact on the world happens naturally. You light up the world simply by being a source of light.
So instead of trying to fix the world or your relationships or your bad habits one by one, you fix the source code. You fix yourself.
Precisely. If you are exuberant, Time doesn't crush you. You're no longer lonely. You don't need external chemicals. It all connects back to that one core commitment.
It really shifts the focus from doing to being. We spend so much time making to-do lists. Do this, buy that, achieve this.
And he's saying just focus on being a better version of this life form. And in a world that is obsessed with external milestones, it's a reminder that the only thing you truly owe yourself is your own well-being.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a visualization. Go back to that image of the digital hourglass on your phone screen. Really see it.
See the sand falling.
Imagine you could see the sand of your life slipping away, grain by grain, right now. If you were staring at that reality, what childish goal are you currently chasing that you would drop today? What heavy burden would you put down if you realized the shift is almost over?
That is the question.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this helps you ride the wheel a little better.
Goodbye.